Kate Milafalcha. Welcome to Irish Granny Helen. Welcome to Gerald.
Hello.
Oh my God, I can't even get my first sentence out, Gerald.
Would you like to try it over? Do you want to do a do-over?
No. That's the whole point of this is we've come to entertain and try to encourage everybody to just a little humor, a little elevating of the spirit in honor of Thanksgiving. Because this is Wednesday night and I think I'll upload this tonight. Maybe it'll be so late I'll upload it tomorrow. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me, Gerald.
Thank you for inviting me back, and stay tuned because we are plotting another type of show.
We are. It's going to be great. It's going to be fun. Yes, indeed. We're never short on clever ideas.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
So, what have you been up to?
Well, I was telling you, I just posted an introduction video to Glimmer Globe 2024, which is from December 1st through December 22nd. People are invited to collect their glimmers. Glimmers are those things that are when our mind, body, and soul are lined up and everything feels good. We want to capture those beautiful moments. Some people would call that a gratitude exercise.
You know what George Bush called it?
No, what did George Bush call it?
1,000 points of light. Do you remember that?
I do.
The older one. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I was working on that, and it's a great little exercise, and it's an opportunity to, when things are, holidays are coming up, end of the year, everybody is crazy, and it's
yourself.
Okay, you're crazy all year long, not just the end of the year, right?
It's hard to tell, right?
You walked into that one. But, and so there's a lot of extra stress. So this is just take a second and recognize something that was good for you. And it helps you to live in a state of gratitude, which is expecting to see more of these nice little moments that line up. Are these huge things? They can be. Are they small things? Most often. It can be a child's laugh. It can be the dog, smiling at you when you walk in. Could be, somebody who's bringing you a piece of chocolate because you like chocolate, just because. So, but
there's a lot in my life that I feel gratitude for, and as I get older, I'm recognizing it more often. I took a lot of things for granted when I was younger, but as I get older, I'm realizing, look at me. I can get up in the morning and sit quietly with my thoughts, have a cup of coffee, do the crossword puzzle, unimpeded. It's such a tiny thing. I'm not dealing with difficult family members. I'm not dodging bombs. I'm not having to go out at my ripe old age at 7 o'clock in the morning to do work for, to have medical insurance or whatever.
Yeah.
I probably should, but but I'm not.
Yeah.
But there is a lot to be grateful for, and it sounds like a weird kind of backwards compliment situation when you say a lot of people are much worse off. But I think you have to acknowledge that what you have is pretty good, pretty darn good.
And I'm a firm believer is that you have to recognize what is going on. If it's tough, if it's hard, you have to look at it and you go, this is hard. I don't like this. I need help. And not bury your head under the sand.
I'm so grateful to hear you say that, because that's my mantra is we have to face things head on and not be in denial. And I think there's a lot of denial.
And I think there are a lot of opportunities for denial, but there's also opportunities to take a breath and you go, what is going on, and where do I want to put my attention?
Yeah, you have to allow time to process the bad stuff. You can't just,
Absolutely.
oh, this is terrible. Okay, that is a form of denial. You have to. The only way out of it is through it.
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So the Glimmer Globes, it was a fun conversation that I was having with somebody online. We decided to make it a thing. And so it's Glimmer Globe.
I think that's wonderful.
And and it's just capturing little things. And it's great.
Just being grateful for what you do have. Yeah. Which is really in keeping with the theme of Thanksgiving. People are pretty stressed out, especially this year, about getting together with extended family and friends and that kind of thing.
I am. Yes.
You are. Yeah.
Yes, I am. Yeah.
See, this is what I'm grateful for. I don't have to. Tomorrow, one of my people say, what are you doing for Thanksgiving? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. And I am so great. I'm grateful. Marina and I were talking about that. People have expectations. So-and-so is going to be there. This is what will be eaten. This is the time we will do it. This is what we'll wear. These are the tablecloth. I mean, it's crazy making. And to be relieved of that burden is actually pleasure.
I come from a big family, so we celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas combined. We call it Thanksmas on the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah. And is this what you're kind of anticipating?
Well, yes, this is the where I'm going, hi, let's see where everybody is. But and we did that. We started this because my parents, have you heard the term snowbird? They would go down to Florida. So they would, right after Thanksgiving, they would go down to Florida, and then they would come back up for Thanksgiving, and they'd go back in the new year. Well, they got to a certain point where making 2 trips,
that's a drag. Yeah.
It is a drag, especially when there's some snow and some crap.
Yeah.
So we just moved that. And then I have one of my sisters, she does such a good job of organizing stuff. It's just like, we know what we need to feed 70 people. And so it's divided up, and everybody signs up to bring a certain thing. And we do a gift exchange that you are welcome to participate in or not, your choice. And it's overall it's been a great time. So
well, I was telling you that I just made about 20 hats, knitted them, all different sizes. And my daughters who have children called me up not too long ago and said, Mom, tell Dad the kids don't need more plastic toys. My husband has a little bit of a problem. He's got a little bit of a generosity problem. He loves to buy presents, and he buys things for his grandchildren, our grandchildren, and hides them away. And so I don't know he's done it. And he'll pull all this stuff out. And these children are indulged. They are so fortunate. They have everything that they could possibly need. So my kids don't want to do a gift exchange. Everybody they just want to take the emphasis off of stuff. I'm the only one who's disappointed because I love presents. But okay, fine.
Well, I understand it. Yeah. I understand that too. We also have at the family thing, there's an opportunity for people to bring toys for a donation.
That's good.
And that was a big thing for my mother.
Yeah.
And so, and I agree. It's more about the experiences.
Yeah, just have conversations. So with that in mind, I decided, okay, I don't want to not do anything for everybody. That's terrible. That doesn't feel good. So I found a pattern that had from infant to adult. And I just made a variety of different colors and different sizes. And I threw them all in a Christmas bag and go for it. There's more than enough. Yeah. Yeah.
I love
and,
that.
And I have a grandson, a 4.5-year-old grandson, who oddly, because nobody else seems to care. Well, my husband, maybe that's why, loves the hats I knit. My husband does too, and it just occurred to me, duh. This is why. Yeah, at 4 years old, every school picture, he's the only kid in the class with one of my knitted hats. It's hilarious.
Have
Very
you knit your
cute.
husband a hat for this year yet?
Oh yeah, of course. Okay. Oh yeah, he's included. In the bag.
Listen to Helen, everybody. She's like, well, of course, Gerald. Yeah, duh.
I have to live with him another year, right?
Well, I cast this hat on, and Jeffrey's like, going, oh, I look really good in that color. Okay.
Okay, you can take a hint. Well, I have bad news. You know when my husband's birthday is? I cannot believe the rudeness of his mother. The week before Christmas Eve. Oh my God, do you know how hard it is to come up with 2 gifts in a week for a man? It's and he's not a typical guy, he's very much into books and art, but you want to be a little creative. Yeah. One year I got him a great gift. I heard this advertised, and it was more than I would ordinarily have scraped together, but I thought, boy, this is unique. So it's this company online that every week, well, as often as he can keep up, sent him a prompt. Tell us about what you did your sophomore year of school, stuff like that. But more specific than that, all kinds of interesting questions about your life. And the goal is that you'll write an essay describing this. Then they take it all and bind it into a book. Oh, and I had them make 5 copies, one for each of my kids.
Nice.
So and that was his, I got him a copy too, so 6 copies. But that was his gift. And it was their gift for Christmas from him, so he didn't have to get them a gift. And it was his gift for his birthday the week before. Genius. I'm still,
that's
resting on those laurels.
Yeah, I'm looking, how do you top that one? That's really good.
You can't. One year, a couple of years actually, I got him Sock of the Month Club.
Oh,
Beautiful socks. Oh, that sounds so stupid.
No.
But beautiful socks. Art pieces of art, really. Just gorgeous. So beautiful that you won't wear them.
That's too bad. That's too bad. Yeah, I've knit socks for Jeffrey too. And
that's hard.
It can be, but
well, you have to pay attention.
Yeah, a lot of it you do have to pay attention.
Yeah.
But yeah. So in preparation for this, because you invited me back, I have 9 cards with take a breath. Do you have something to drink? I have 9 cards with various topics. And by the way, I've recycled them. So, it still has the stuff that I did on the back, but I wrote from the last time. So, because I wasn't going to, get these will make it through like 2 or 4 more rounds of this.
So are you talking new questions, but the same physical card?
Same physical cards, new topics. And they're
okay.
And some of them are questions. Actually, I think only one's a question, but then I went like, these are just topics. So
yeah, I remember. Yeah.
Do you want to start?
Sure. Number 5.
Ooh, she's going right into the center. Okay. The idea of nature versus nurture.
Oh, can we talk psychopathy?
Yes, we can.
Oh, it's the eternal debate, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay. So this is the latest. And I want to get this right. It's a cute little saying, and I always get it wrong. Nature loads the gun. Nurture pulls the trigger. So in many cases with emotional disorders, behavioral disorders, psychopathy, and I'm really generalizing because sociopathy is more environment, psychopathy is more nature, but in general, you need the physiological predisposition. So some people are born with a different structured brain and different functioning neurochemicals that sets them up. And then trauma, abuse, life experiences can really play havoc with you. There was a doctor, can't remember his name, and he wrote a book about psychopathy. And he found out in the process of researching, he did all these scans. I don't know if they were CAT scans or MRIs, but they're able to visualize on these imaging machines. And they can pretty much tell you, yeah, that's a psychopath's brain.
Okay.
Just by the structure and its functioning.
The way it works.
Right. So he's doing all these images, and a bunch of the people he worked with were doing control group. So they would, take images of their brains. And somebody came into him and said, tell me what you think of this. And he looked at it and he goes, oh yeah, it was his brain. He discovered he was a psychopath. So he started to think about it. It was really interesting. It really provided a lot for the understanding of psychopathy, because convention has it, once a psychopath, always a psychopath, and there's not much you can do to mitigate it. And he thought, no, it's on a continuum. It's on a spectrum, and you can be a little bit psychopathic, or you can have all of the features and anywhere in between. But what he saw as mitigating the damage of that disorder is that his parents recognized it in him really young.
Oh, okay.
They realized this kid is on the road to being a problem, and really young. He wasn't a juvenile delinquent or anything. And he said he realizes now, retrospectively, that his parents devoted enormous amounts of time and attention and talking about your feelings and why would you treat somebody like that, what's a better way to, that they somehow inherently understood.
That's beautiful.
And it made a difference. But his wife, he told his wife, and she said, oh, I'm not at all surprised that you're a psychopath. He said, well, what do you mean? And she said, well, think about it. And he realized, if he was being honest, that he really got some sort of internal pleasure out of torturing people. Now, I don't mean torturing like the Spanish Inquisition, but toying with people, like giving them a hard time. The potential for being that demon boss was there, but he wasn't, because his parents had raised him to think about the other person. But he enjoyed playing mind games, and he saw how it could go off the rails, and his wife had recognized it in him early on. So just interesting, huh?
Yeah, I think it's very interesting, the fact that nature versus nurture. What happens, that nurture is the environment that you're around. And when that environment provides you with a variety of options instead of just your immediate reaction, that primitive brain, it gives you the ability to have different choices. It gives you the ability to be differently engaged and to know that there's options. So,
well, it's important to have positive role models.
Yes.
And oftentimes really dire psychopathy, they come from such dysfunction with no positive role models. And that's what feeds that cycle of bad behavior. And there are people who are just not salvageable. You know, they are the Machiavellians of the world, you know.
Well, and yeah, and we talked about that at work at the library, and the importance of being a positive adult role model.
Oh yeah.
And instead of kids getting in trouble, instead pausing a little bit and recognizing and getting to know that child, that teenager, because you may be the only adult who interacts with them like that.
Yeah,
you know, you're not yelling at them, and it's tough. It was a mind flip for me to go, really? Just simply the fact that I know my Gene's name, and I smile when I see him, and I remember that there was a math test yesterday, and how did it go?
It makes a big difference.
It makes a big difference. And I think it makes a big difference now for everyone. People like to be seen. They like to be heard. And, you know, that there's a lot of power in taking the time and really having somebody feel heard. And
I was mentioning to Marina earlier today, I was on a walk and I saw the mail carrier, and she's like struggling with all these boxes. And she came back to the truck. I happened to be in the right spot for her to hear me. And I said to her, you'll be happy to know that I took care of all my Christmas stuff 2 months ago. And she went, thank you.
Yes. Well, yeah. And when I get packages and they ring the doorbell and I go out and retrieve the package, and if I see the delivery person, I'm like saying, thank you, appreciate it, you know, stay dry, stay cool.
Yeah.
That sort of thing. And I was having some medical visits over the last month or so. And I'm being very appreciative of people doing their job, like the ones who tell me that I have a copay, the ones who call me and say your appointment needs to be rescheduled because of this. It's not their fault. It needs to be rescheduled. I know. And I'm like going, okay, you know, and they're like going, I'm sorry, this will take a minute. And I'm like going, it's all good. It's all good. We're on the same team here.
And, I bet they're so happy to hear from you, because you don't often hear that, you know.
They don't, and I can tell. It's like, it's so disappointing.
I'll tell you a funny story. I've told the story before, but I find it remarkable. So I was walking down the street, and one of the neighbors had some young kid cutting limbs off a tree. And he was stacking up the limbs of the tree that he cut off. And he looked like he was about 19 or 20, you know. So as I walked by, I said, oh, looks like you really went out on a limb for that job. And he says, what do you mean? Oh, that made my day.
Wow.
I said, oh, just, you know, figure of speech. Don't worry about it. Isn't that?
Oh my gosh. So, you want another topic?
Yeah.
Okay. We've got 1 through 4.
Pick a number. 9.
Yes. If you could own a famous work of art, which one and why?
Well, I wouldn't want to.
Okay.
I wouldn't want to, because
if you could have a famous work of art be with you for a short period of time.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want that. I'd be so worried about it. I'd be so nervous about anything happening to it. And I think private ownership of historically famous pieces of art is an immoral thing.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that one person, I think they should go into a museum to be enjoyed by everybody.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
All this millionaires with their fancy art on the walls, that when somebody comes in to fix the plumbing, they actually cover their art with sheets so that people don't know what they have. I know that for a fact.
Oh, geez.
Yeah, I know. That's terrible. I know. Shouldn't judge, but still.
Is there a work of art that you wish you could visit most often?
Well, yes and no. So I had the enormous good fortune on my anniversary a few years ago. My husband and I actually went on a trip. And it's the first real trip that we took without our children in 30 years. We did it for our anniversary. Okay. And we went to Ireland to see my family, and we went to Italy. And so that on that trip, I saw some things that made such an impression on me. First, I went to the University College, Trinity College in Dublin. Mm-hmm. And in their library, they have the Book of Kells.
You were telling me about that, yeah.
Yeah, it made an impression on me. Mm-hmm. And that was just a moment in my life to see that. But then we went to the I forget what it's called. It's the Archaeological Museum of Italy. Oh, okay. It's in oh God, what's the name of the town down by the water, down in the south? Naples. It's in Naples. And we saw all this ancient Egyptian art. And then we went to a place, not Egyptian, I'm sorry, Roman. We went to another museum way up in the north. I mean, we do museums way up in the north in Turin, you know. Okay. Uh-huh. And it has the biggest, best quality Egyptian collection outside of Cairo. I cried. Mm-hmm. Sure. So it wasn't just one thing. I couldn't pick. And then I will never forget coming around a corner in Rome, and maybe it was Florence. I think it was Rome. I think it was the Uffizi. Isn't that in Rome? It doesn't matter. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Coming around a corner of a room, and this painting was on the wall, and this painting was enormous, much larger than I had imagined looking at it in a book. And it was Venus coming out of the half shell by Botticelli.
The Birth of Venus, yes.
I actually gasped. It was just unbelievably beautiful. Mm-hmm. Books don't do things like that justice. You just can't even, even if you see them on a video. Yeah. It's not the same. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I understand that. Seeing art in, for everybody watching, go to an art museum, go to your local galleries, see the up and coming artists. Those are fun. But I saw, his name escapes me. Famous photographer, Ansel Adams.
Ansel Adams. Yeah. The black and white. Yeah.
Yeah. And, so I have a photographer friend who really likes him, and I've seen books, and yes, they're very pretty. Well, I got to see an actual print. Really phenomenal because of the detail. You can't get that detail in a reproduction, in a book.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah. And you certainly can't get it in your home photographs that you take.
No.
Everybody stand there on the edge of the Grand Canyon and smile. It's just not the same, is it? Yeah. No.
Yeah. Well, and I'm also a big supporter of local artists. I like to purchase artwork from local people, and I read somewhere, and I don't know if this is true, but it's like if people were to spend $100 buying local, it would make a huge difference to, first of all, these artists, and these makers. And, it's like
my son-in-law is an artist. He does abstract art, and I guess he uses, I don't know if it's acrylics or oils, I can't tell. But he how do I say this? I'm not a big fan of modern art. I like things to look like what they are.
Sure.
But having said that, his modern art is photorealistic. It's stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But when you get really, really close to it and you look at it, you really can see like the attention to detail, how meticulous. And the poor guy, you know, he works 40 hours a week. He does graphic stuff. He's a graphic artist for a company. So he designs all their ads and their labels and their commercials and their packaging, and you know, he does all the artwork for that. So he's able to at least use his education because he has a degree in it. But his whole life is dedicated towards, please just give me an hour to paint. Please let me have an hour to paint. Poor guy, you know. He's a little corner in the garage that he can use, you know.
And you know, and it's one of those things. Don't get me started on people who, oh, you know, how much, how much is that hat? And I'm like going, well, you know, it's going to cost you $75 because the yarn cost me $30, and then I have this amount. You know, it's that sort of thing. It's challenging to pay. It's if you're not a maker, I don't think you appreciate the time and the talent and the skill that goes into it.
People don't understand because we've been immunized by cheap assembly line, mass marketed stuff, poor quality, a million of them exactly alike. You know, it's understandable. Yeah.
And I am that guy when I go to a local fair or something like that. If I buy a book or a piece of artwork, I'm actually and I look at it and it's not signed and the artist is there, I'm asking them to sign it. And they're like, why would I, what? Because I remember taking some knitting pattern books to meet the designer and I wanted them to sign my book. They're like, why would you do that? And I said, because it's important to me. I want to have your signature. Please just do it. So.
Take the credit.
Anyhow. Anyhow.
Well, you know that knitting is therapeutic, right?
Yes.
They've done brain studies. It puts you into a meditative state. So, and you know what else I was raised with was embroidery.
Oh.
I don't do it anymore because I can't see. I mean, it would not look quite the way it's supposed to look. You know what I mean? But my mother was a beautiful embroiderer. I mean, it was basically like painting with yarn. And she taught me really, really young. And I taught my children, but they don't see. Now, my oldest daughter, let's see if I can point. See this macrame hanging?
Yes.
During the lockdown, she just decided to start doing that.
Nice.
And she collected natural pieces of wood and taught herself how to do macrame. This is one of her basic beginning pieces. She does gigantic things and on commission. And I mean, she's not making any money out of it. She gets paid for the materials. But she got contacted by a company that makes I don't think it's called yarn. I don't know what it's called, but the thread, you know, the rope, whatever it's called. And they said, if you let us use your work in our ads, we will give you the materials for free.
Wow.
And then they don't keep them. They just use them in their ads. How about that?
That's
so proud. Yeah.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah. Very cool.
I love that. All right. 1 through 4 or
2.
Okay. You're set. Yarn, natural fiber or not?
Well, it depends on what you're making, right?
Say more about that, Helen.
I have two words for you: knitter's fingers. The more natural fiber you use, the more painful it is, because it saps all the oils out of your
Really?
skin.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, and your fingers crack at the nail bed, at the corner of your nail bed. And so
Mhm.
there's actually a syndrome that I've gotten numerous times called knitter's fingers. And they make special, it's like a lotion, and then it
Yes.
solidifies like Elmer's glue, and it forms a like a bond so that you're
Mhm.
not in contact with the wool. It's
Mhm.
a real problem for people who do big,
A
knitting
lot of it. Yeah.
projects. Yeah. So I love natural fibers, but if you're making children's clothes, you really want something that's washable and won't shrink, if you can
Mhm.
help it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I would say it depends. What about you?
I like natural fiber whenever possible, and because I think it's a pleasure to knit for me.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's a pleasure to craft it,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, and um, and wool is pretty dang sturdy.
No, yeah.
And it has lots of things available for it. Again, for easily washable stuff, the you know um, the man-made fiber is okay, and they have yarn that's made with post-consumer fiber, or content, so
Oh, I
that's
did.
great. Yeah. And hemp is fun
Yeah.
to knit with, and linen is not fun to knit with because that's really dry.
Oh, you know what
And
linen's made out of?
it's made out of like,
This is not a test.
no, I mean it's made out of a
Yeah,
plant fiber.
flax.
Flax, thank you. I couldn't
And
remember that.
what's so interesting to me about linen is, you've seen Irish linen, right? Um, before, I want to say before the 40s, before I think World War II, about that time, all of the Irish linen made before then was made from flax grown in Ireland.
Mm.
After that, it was cheaper to get it from Belgium, to get it imported. And so if you want to buy Irish linen, you want to get antique Irish linen. And that sounds crazy, but you can. I've got a couple of tablecloths
Mm.
that had never really been used. They were still in the box and they were new and they were really old. You could tell from the packaging and everything. But they were from a hotel in Ireland that
Oh,
closed,
wow, I
and they
love
were
that.
selling all their linens. And I bought
Wow.
for my what became my guest room. It used to house 3 children, but pillowcases, white Irish linen pillowcases with 3 little shamrocks in white embroidery. Just
Ooh.
really beautiful. Just such attention to detail. Yeah.
Yeah. I do like natural fibers, just simply because I don't know. People might call me a snob, but I like the pleasure of knitting with it. Silk and bamboo and wool, the blends of natural fibers, those are really fun to knit with, and because from a color standpoint, all of those fibers take the dye differently.
Yeah.
So, it's really, really incredible.
The
Really
the one
incredible.
I don't like, there's can I name names of companies? There's
Sure.
a
I mean,
particular brand of acrylic yarn that actually hurts my hands, like it's fiberglass or something. It's sharp and it
uh,
Red Heart. Does that ring a bell? Red Heart
yes, it
yarn.
does. Yep.
Yeah, not fond of that. And what is the name of that company? My mind is blank. Shetland. Patent
Mhm.
patent
Yeah.
company.
Yeah. Patent.
Shetland. Their
Mhm.
wool. I love that. It's
Yeah.
beautiful. That's where I made all my hats. Yeah. Bulky.
That's great. Yeah.
A 6, I think. Yeah.
Yep. Love that.
Super. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is funny because I'm knitting on something that's a natural fiber. So.
And we know who the color is good for.
Yes, we do. I'm so glad that I was reminded. So. All right. What number?
4.
Oh, knitting. Let's talk about knitting.
Oh, for heaven's sake. So what was the first thing you ever knit?
The first thing I ever knit was a scarf.
How old were you?
I was in my 30s.
Oh, you were grown up. Oh, you didn't
Yeah,
learn.
I was a grown up. Yeah. Yeah.
I was in the brownies, juniors. I was like a 4th grade, about that age, Girl Scouts, and they taught us how to knit. And so we would go to the weekly meeting, and they started us on, which is insanity now that I think about it, a Barbie dress. You know how little and fiddly that is, right? And it was basically just a tent.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Oh
yeah.
My
Basically
gosh.
just a tent. But they helped us get started, and they told us what to do. And I got to a certain point, and then I didn't know how to go any farther. And then whatever happened, that was the end of the knitting lessons, right? And I would pick it up occasionally and try to do something with it. And that yarn started out pink. It got dingier and dingier and dingier. And I kind of gave up on it because what they didn't teach us was how to read a pattern.
Oh, yeah. That's important. Yes.
So I discovered early 2000s, I think, I found a book called Stitch and Bitch.
Yes.
And it teaches you how to read a pattern, and it gives you some simple things to do, and it walks you through it. And it was so accessible and made it so much easier. So I had little dogs, and I thought, okay, I'm going to knit dog sweaters because the dogs are not going to complain. They're not going to care what they look like. And if they don't fit one dog, they'll fit some dog somewhere.
That's right.
And I ended up getting so many compliments for these silly dog sweaters that I asked the groomer, because at the time we actually took our dogs to a groomer. That's gone with the wind. But I said to her, what about if we traded? And I would bring down these sweaters and you could sell them, and then you could keep a portion of it and use it for dog grooming. So the dog grooming didn't cost me anything.
Very nice.
Very smart, right?
Yes.
And they were awfully cute. Now I've got a bunch of them still, but they're very worn, and they don't really, the dogs died. So they don't really fit anybody anymore.
Aww.
But they're very cute.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I find knitting very meditative, and it does keep my hands busy. So I'm not, well, now, I mean, it wasn't the issue when I first started to knit. I wasn't scrolling. I wasn't doom scrolling on the internet. I'm not, you've heard that phrase, right? Doom scrolling.
I'm laughing. So what I don't doom scroll. I knit and I watch law and crime police body camera video of people being arrested for DUIs.
It also helps me not to overeat. Because if my hands are busy, I'm not putting my hands in. Oh,
God, that's a whole other topic. I hope that's not on one of your cards, because I just can't go there. However, when I started out knitting, I did the dog sweaters. And then as time went by, I had a couple of grandchildren, and I knit really small baby things. Great way to start learning is just to start small and very simple. You don't want anything with pockets and collars, and you just start simple. And then I graduated. Now it's nice to have girls because they appreciate that kind of thing. So I made them one Christmas for everybody. I made arm warmers, cable knit arm
Ooh,
warmers that, you know, they weren't a full glove. They had, you know, one big opening for these fingers and then a place for your thumb.
yep.
And they covered part of your hand and they went all the way up to the elbow and beyond.
Very
and
nice.
They were cable knit and they were beautiful. They turned out great.
Yes. I knit a scarf just to learn the technique. And then I took a knitting class where I was learning Fair Isle knitting or color knitting.
Oh God, that's just too much.
So, but it was on a bulky weight yarn. So it was a fast knit. And then I took
How did it turn out?
It turned out beautifully. I still have it. It's great.
Oh.
I mean, I love it. And then I took a sock knitting class.
Oh God, socks.
Well, and see, here's the thing. They were for like slippers because they used a bulky weight yarn, a size 10.5 needle. And so it went really quickly. And I think it was a 3-week class. And it worked out really well. And I learned a lot of things like short rows and, you know,
the turning the heel thing, you know, and I'm self-taught at this point. All that stuff I just learned on my own by trial and error. Like I'm making this poncho for my 8-year-old, she's going on 9, granddaughter for her birthday at the end of the month. And it's 4 panels. They taper. They're scalloped at the bottom and they taper. And it's just a poncho, you know, pull it over your head. But it's fussy. There's all these fancy little, what do you call, eyelets, you know? And so you yarn it over and, you know. And the other day I finished a couple of them. You think I would remember. I'm not paying any attention to what I'm doing. So I finished the first 2 panels. I start working on the third. And I got about this much into it. And I noticed, this is too many stitches. So I start to count, and instead of decreasing, I've got more than what I started out with.
Oh no.
What's going on? I pulled that, I must have ripped that out 4 or 5 times. And finally I cast on, counted, did a row, counted. And I finally figured out what I was doing wrong. Here's what I was doing. There was a repeat. Purl 2 together, yarn over, purl 2 together. What did I do? Then you repeat that triple, purl. What I did was purl 2 together, yarn over, purl 2 together, yarn over, purl 2 together.
Oh, okay. Instead of, because it would have been purl 2 together, yarn over, purl 2 together, purl 2 together.
Right. Yep. And, you know, I get all involved in, you know, the cops are kicking down the door because there's a body behind the door. Watching these. And the most annoying thing in the world is when they make the crime scene fuzzy and you can't see.
You can't find out where it is. And, you know,
can't see the body. You can't see the trail of blood. You can't see anything good. You know, all you can see is the body cam, the cop's arms, his forearms.
I'm actually going to do number 8 now.
Oh, you really want? Okay.
Binge-worthy shows. Oh,
I just did one. What? Oh, I just watched last night the whole entire 3 or 4 episodes of John Benet Ramsey on Netflix.
Okay.
I loved The Diplomat.
Okay.
Have you seen that one?
I have not.
Carrie Russell.
Okay.
Is she sort of gets by default I think her husband started out as the ambassador, but by default she's the ambassador and in England, and she's sort of a non-conventional kind of person, and she quickly finds out that she's actually being groomed by the powers to be the vice presidential candidate. And she's just great acting, really, really good acting.
I love that.
Yeah. I love that. I'm trying to think what else. I don't know. I really,
you know, I have a tendency to like binge watch things that I've seen before.
yeah.
Especially because it's in the background and there's something to be said about that. I think they say, what is it? I heard something that it's people who are like either super depressed or super crazy rewatch the same shows over and over again. I don't know what it is, you know,
It's
for
comfort.
entertainment purposes. Yeah, it's comfort. But I just binged watched The Vicar of Dibley this past week. If you've ever seen that,
I don't know that one. No,
it's British comedy.
Oh.
And so, you know, and then things like the some of the animated shows on Netflix, Big Mouth, which I know you haven't seen, but
I'm not into animation.
yeah. So
I do like The Simpsons.
well, yes, and I have been binge watching some of those when I can find them on YouTube, but they're really tight on, you know, Disney owns them. Excuse me. The you know, the mouse thing owns them.
You're not allowed to say that?
I don't know. I'm just being a smart aleck.
Oh. there's
Instead,
been some really, I'm trying to think. There's been some really wonderful. I really liked 6 Feet Under, but I think it fell apart the last season or so.
Yeah.
Um,
Dexter was a really good binge watch show for me.
Yeah, it kind of fell apart at the end too. The books are better.
Yes. Yes. I would say, however, Dexter is not necessarily a good show to fall asleep to.
No?
Because it gets into your dreams.
Oh. You have nightmares. See, those things don't bother me because I have an easy time understanding that they're pretend. It doesn't. Yeah. I'm much more disturbed by commercials for animal shelters. See?
My name is Sarah McLaughlin. I'm about ready to ruin
your
evening.
My God, yep. I can't. I close my eyes and go like this. With one hand, I'm working the fast forward. I can't. I just can't.
Yeah. I think binge-worthy shows are, binge-worthy. Well, the other thing is again, you and I've talked. My favorite book is A Christmas Carol. And so I know, so I've watched, and I will watch every version of A Christmas Carol that I can, and I will watch it at any time of the year.
Please tell me you don't watch Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Well, I mean, periodically, but come on. I mean, Patrick Stewart or Mr. Magoo, I'm going to pick Patrick Stewart. I mean, I'm just saying.
Oh, you were asking me binge-worthy, and I've been tortured trying to think of what, I love to go back and watch. I love to go back and watch old 1960s sitcoms. For example, the Beverly Hillbillies.
Yes.
Genius. Yes. So funny. Yes. So funny. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers films.
Oh, yeah. Okay. My favorite, hard to say, but let's say my favorite film noir, my favorite movie from the 40s is starring somebody, the woman I love, the man, I cannot stand him. In this movie, he's genius. The casting was so good. Double Indemnity. Right. Barbara Stanwyck and Double Indemnity. Barbara Stanwyck and Fred McMurray. And Fred McMurray is not my cup of tea.
Okay.
Off recording, I'll tell you a little something. I have a little dirt on it. So it's the story of this woman, Barbara Stanwyck, who's married to an older man, and she's looking for an opportunity to off him so she can get the insurance money. And Fred McMurray is an insurance salesman. And Edward G. Robinson is his boss. And the dialogue, somebody famous wrote the script. And I want to say somebody like, but not, Dashiell Hammett, somebody like that. Yeah. It's a real jewel of a movie. It's so well done. Every single character in it is just fabulous. But one of the attractions it holds for me is that it's one of the earliest movies that was filmed in LA about LA. So,
Oh.
they're in a house. They're not in a set. They're actually in a house in LA. And you see the streets and you see them driving around. And it's familiar to me. And I really like to see what it looked like in the old days. Yeah.
I love that. Yeah. I like that. Okay, do we have time for some more?
Oh, yeah.
1, 3, 6, or 7?
1.
Sorry, I did not know that this was going to be one of those things. Comfort food.
God. Well, this has been an interesting year because after probably a good 20 years of feeling guilty and being mildly and sometimes aggressively hounded by my children, I decided to be a vegetarian. And I kind of woke up in January and just wasn't something that I went to bed intending, but I woke up and I thought, oh, okay, this is what I'm going to try. And I'm lacto-ovo, so I'll eat eggs, I'll eat cheese, I'll eat milk, drink milk, put milk in my coffee, but no meat. And it has not been any kind of a hardship at all.
Oh, good.
The hardship is not what I can't eat. The hardship is what I can eat. Because I can't eat a lot of different beans I'm allergic to.
Oh, okay.
And so, and I can't eat a lot of grains because I have a blood sugar thing. So there, you can see that it's narrowing my choices.
Yeah.
A lot of grain and bean combinations are a protein, and they're very good, and they figure heavily in vegetarian style food, right?
Yes.
And we all, well, I'm not pointing fingers, but the rest of us all eat too much anyway, and it's something I've struggled with all of my life. So comfort food. Let me tell you what comfort food I can't eat anymore. Can't eat ice cream, the food of the gods. I can't eat Reese's peanut butter cups, the food of the gods when they run out of ice cream. I can't eat See's candy. I can't eat cookies. I can't eat the food that I would exclusively eat 24 hours a day if there were no repercussions. I love junk food. I love sweets. So I haven't had any of that for years. So what my problem this year, and I have really, really struggled for the first time in 10 years. I've been really doing well. The first time in 10 years, I've really struggled because what can I eat? Peanut butter, cashews. So you see the pattern establishing here? High calorie and not very filling.
Right.
And there's only so much steamed cauliflower and broccoli a person can stand,
Unless it has a very good cheese sauce.
But then you're getting into the iffy column.
I know.
It's just, you can't. It's that Buddhist thing. You have to let go. You have to release the connection to the material world, right? Yeah. And this is my lesson. I think I probably starved to death in some former life, or mistreated somebody with food. I don't know. Force-fed people. I don't know. But my comfort food would have been ice cream or chocolate. And now I buy really good coffee beans, and I make really good coffee. I mean, it's what I can have, so I'm going to do it up right.
Do it perfectly. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, Gerald. It's really hard.
It is. Sorry, I did not know that was going to be one of those things.
Oh, no. It's been
I'm like, oh my gosh. I've got binge shows and comfort food and yarn.
Together. When I was 2 years old, I have a picture of myself at 2. My mother had nearly had a miscarriage, and they put her on total bed rest. I ended up with a brother, so it it's okay. But they sent me to live with my grandparents. And, you know, I mean, I knew them. It was not a big deal. And they indulged me horribly. When my mother got me back, I have a picture of myself. I looked like a beach ball with legs. Because every time I squawked, they threw a sweet.
They
Here's a
fed you.
sweet.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you set kids up for difficulty. What's your comfort food?
I am a big fan of barbecued ridged potato chips.
Oh, those aren't bad. I can go with those.
I'm also a fan of Twizzlers.
Oh, I don't know. How about Cheez-Its? Cheese crackers, you know? Oh, excellent taste. There was a day.
Hello.
There was a day I would sit with a box of that and eat the whole entire box.
Well, I mean, you know, it says one serving size. You know, they say it's 27 crackers. And I'm like, well, that's a handful. But I am also like you. I do like ice cream.
Ice cream. What's your favorite?
I like Breyer's all natural chocolate.
Oh, I didn't know they had an all natural.
Yeah, it's just cream, sugar, and chocolate.
The three main food groups.
Yes, the three main food groups.
Yeah.
If you know, did we talk about this before? My favorite ice cream is a discontinued Ben & Jerry's. Are you familiar with Ben & Jerry's?
Oh, intimately.
Just asking. But it was called From Russia with Buzz. It was
had coffee in it.
Yes, it had coffee and a white Russian. So it was, and I mean, it was really good.
Oh my God. Yeah. So I really like Haagen-Dazs.
Mm-hmm.
And there are flavors of Haagen-Dazs that I would very possibly commit justifiable homicide for. That I wouldn't ordinarily say would be my favorite. Now, believe it or not, although chocolate, in my opinion, is the pinnacle, right? Mm-hmm. That's not my favorite ice cream. My favorite ice cream is coffee.
Okay.
Isn't that weird? Chocolate ice cream is not as cold as coffee ice cream. Just take this from a connoisseur. I don't know what it is. There's something about the chemistry of it. Haagen-Dazs pistachio.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Oh, it's so good. And I'm not into things in my ice cream, you know, marshmallows and nuts and chunks of stuff. I'm not real, but I love Haagen-Dazs pistachio. Then they make another kind, which absolutely would not be something I would ever think I would like. Rum raisin.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that weird? But it's I would eat anything. Yeah.
Yeah. Ice cream was one of those things as a kid. It was a very special thing, and Mom would get she would get the carton, and it was the cubic carton. She'd open it all up. Yep, she'd open it all up and slice it. It's like,
yes.
It's like, there you go. There you go.
Did she get Neapolitan?
We did get Neapolitan, yes.
Oh God, I hate Neapolitan ice cream. I don't like fruit. Now, rum raisin, I understand I'm contradicting myself, but I don't like fruity ice cream like peach and strawberry. And
well, it just depends upon if it's a natural flavored or if it's
no, fruit doesn't belong in ice cream.
Oh, okay.
Alcohol, yes. Fruit, no.
And chocolate.
Oh, well, chocolate belongs in everything.
Yeah.
You can put chocolate in Mexican food, okay? I'm just saying.
Well, and then alcohol, coffee, and chocolate. There's a good mix.
That's the top of the food pyramid.
Yeah.
And at the bottom is cream and butter. And
yes. I actually had somebody teach me they call it Cuban coffee. I don't know if it's really Cuban coffee, but it's basically espresso with cinnamon, a couple of cinnamon sticks in the water, and then you put brown sugar in with the water, and then that's how you sweeten the espresso. So it's a beautiful cinnamony
Oh yeah.
coffee boost. So,
Well, one of my little specialties that a lot of my friends actually will call me up and ask me, can I come over and will you make this? Is Irish coffee.
oh,
Because you have to use good coffee. You
yes.
have to use the right kind of whiskey. And real whipped cream. I once ordered an Irish coffee in a restaurant and they used a spray can of cream and I made a scene. I just lost it. What is this? Look, there's an oil slick on the top of my coffee. It's awful. So you have to make it a certain way. You put brown sugar at the bottom of the cup, and then your alcohol, and then your coffee, and then a lot of cream, and don't stir it up. You let it filter, and it's very good. So yeah, I have friends who every Christmas they'll drop by. Oh, hi, whoa, got any coffee?
Time for coffee. Yeah. There's a place. What was the place in San Francisco that was well known for their Irish coffee? It was right on the wharf, or
Fisherman's Wharf.
Yeah.
I love that place. I don't remember Irish coffee though. I had seafood.
Yeah, I can't remember. It was a famous place that they were well known for their Irish coffee. So I went and had an Irish coffee. So
yeah.
All right. 3, 6, or 7.
3.
Gauge swatches. Gauge swatches.
Oh, you know what that's a little bit like? That's a little bit like reading the instructions.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on what you're making. If you're making something that has to fit, you have to. If you're just making a scarf or something, who cares?
Yeah. For those of you who are watching and do not do any knitting or crocheting, a gauge swatch is checking how many stitches you have per inch and how it matches the pattern. Because if you want a pattern to work, you need to get the same gauge as the pattern says. Because if you're a half a stitch off, a half a stitch over 100 stitches could be an inch, depending upon. So
yeah.
Not good. So yeah, I'm actually.
So they have these cute little rulers. They're kind of square that have a cutout like an L in them, and you can hold them against your knitting, and you can count. Oh, in this 2-inch space, let me count how many stitches I have right there.
I'm looking for my my gauge swatch thing, and I can't.
But I'm very impatient when I start a project. I want to start the project. I don't want to be fussing around with some little square thing, but I do it because you have to.
Well, and when I used to teach knitting, it's like you do a 6-inch square, or 6-inch swatch, because you want to measure the 4 inches in the middle, because it all stretches out.
I didn't know that. I do like maybe 4 stitches more than the required for the gauge, just to get it over with,
And so, but I gauge swatches, yes, they take some time. However, in the end, they could save you a lot of time and a lot of money too.
Yeah.
So, okay.
But you choose. I don't know, 6. Hate to commit.
Breakfast. Just a topic.
No, thank you.
No.
Okay. No, I'm afraid I choke before noon.
Okay.
Now, I've never been a breakfast eater. I like coffee in the morning, but I don't like to eat in the morning. Okay. And I've tried that. I've tried to do the it's healthy. You need to have a meal, 3 meals regularly spaced, and eating, even if it's just like oatmeal or an egg, which is just noxious when I've just woken up. But still, even if that's all it is, it sets me up. I'm ravenous the rest of the day. So I don't know what kind of metabolic disorder that is.
So let me ask it a different way. Breakfast foods.
Don't like them.
You don't like them. Okay.
Hate pancakes, hate waffles, the smell of sausages. I just, no.
I am on the other end of that. I will eat breakfast any time of the day. So I like
Let me make a sexist remark. I think that's a guy thing. I really do. My husband is that way too. He loves breakfast food. His thing, French toast. I can't even imagine crawling out of bed and spending the next 2 hours frying. Yeah, he loves to do that.
I like waffles and I like pancakes.
See, it's a guy thing.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know.
See, if I eat something like that first thing in the morning, I automatically, it's a rule somewhere, it's in some dietary manual somewhere, I automatically gain 15 pounds. And then I'm starving the rest of the day. All I can think about.
Yeah. Is that the same diet book that says if you walk past a box of chocolates, you gain the 5 pounds too? That one?
That's not a joke. I have news for you. They've done studies. There are some people, if they smell food, they'll gain weight.
Wow.
I've always maintained it's true. I can't even look at a box of See's candy. I can't. Isn't that weird? There's more going on than just calories in, calories out. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm also a fan. I like mush and I like grits. I like grits. Yeah.
With cheese.
And I like chickeny grits when you make them with a little bit of chicken broth.
Never had that.
Yeah. So, but I think that was because that was a special thing when I was a kid. It was like, oh, we're gonna have grits. Awesome.
Well, the Irish are really into what they call a fry up.
Oh, okay.
So wait till you hear this. This just makes me sick. I can't even talk about it. On a weekend or something when you weren't in a rush. My father liked to make fried eggs, fried kidneys, bacon, fried sausage, fried tomatoes, and bread fried in the grease. Oh God! Oh,
that's a lot of meat and a lot of grease.
Yeah. Some surgeon somewhere in Ireland is making a fortune with all those gallbladders.
Well, this last one could be a whole show. Archetypes.
Oh, well, right?
Yes.
Let's do compare and contrast. Jeff, this is visual. Madonna. And I really don't believe that. I'll tell you something. I didn't know much at all about Marilyn Monroe, really. I heard rumors and I heard dismissive stereotypes about her. And I didn't even take the time to think about an opinion, right? But when I sat down to read this book, I thought, well, dumb blonde. Nothing could be farther from the truth. Correct. Nothing. Astute businesswoman, voracious reader. Somebody is such a survivor. That she had a horrendous childhood, really horrendous, and somehow managed to rise above it all. But it made her very vulnerable to manipulation. So archetypes, I don't know. Let me give you an example. Not that I've seen any of them, but I don't put anything past me. I will criticize anything. I don't have to have actually seen it to criticize.
Okay.
All those stupid comic book movies,
Mm-hmm.
you know, guys in capes.
Yep.
That's flying around.
I've not seen them. It's not my genre.
Me neither. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah.
There's no appeal. No appeal.
Yeah.
But they're a modern archetype of, you know, Zeus and Aries and Mercury and all those old, you know, gods and goddesses. It's the same thing.
Yeah. I think, you know, for me, you know, I wrote this down because archetypes are those things that I think we as a species do well with telling stories. That's how we learn. That's how we remember things. So there's the part of the archetype is okay, what is the storyline for this character? You know, the hero's journey and the archetypes, and what is it? Carolyn Miss has a book about archetypes out, and you know, it's like the hero, the healer, the victim. There's all different sorts of archetypes, and it's just a way to, I think it's an interesting opportunity to consider how we're engaging with the world around us. It also goes back to that nature versus nurture.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if we're, depending upon how you're born, that may be your nature, that your natural archetype. However, that archetype can evolve and should evolve, especially depending upon the archetype.
Well, you know, Carl Jung was really into archetypes, right? And it's interesting because he gets an element of respect and attention because he's coming from a more conventional scientific psychology point of view. But he's not saying anything that hasn't been said in mythology and fairy tales and metaphysical belief systems, and it's global too. That's what's so interesting, is all these archetypes are global and not just geographical, but historically from the past. They cross time and space.
I love that, because I always like to find out, if I meet someone new, I like to figure out how we are alike instead of how we're different. How are we similar? And so that the fact that these archetypes can, they cross cultures is really interesting.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, something inherent.
Yeah, there's huge opportunities there. You know?
Well, see, when I meet somebody, I know automatically whether I'm just going to use vague words, whether I'm going to like them or not, whether we're going to mesh, right? And usually it's because we have similarities, agreement on some basic things.
Yes.
But having said that, my husband and I are complete opposites. I mean, we could not be more different. He's quiet and thoughtful. And he never talks. I mean, truly, almost pathologically quiet. And if you ask him an opinion, he'll never give you a direct answer. I have no filter. I will just tell you exactly what I think. Right? But if you ask him, so let's see, I'm trying to think of something neutral I can talk about. Well, what do you think about Marilyn Monroe? He'd say something like this. I would say what I said. Well, you know, I had these preconceived notions and it turned out not to be true. And here's what I discovered she's really like. His response would be, well, you know, a lot of people really liked your movies. You know, just sort of, he's not telling you what he thinks. He's talking. So in order to get to the core of what he really thinks requires 20 questions. I go, oh my God, it's a challenge.
Well, and that's probably why he still is with you, because you're willing to ask those 20 questions. You have a tenacity about you to get to what he wants, to what he really thinks.
That's really putting that very nicely. Some people would call it tendency towards torture. I'm determined.
It is what it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. You never know. You never know what is going to make any kind of relationship work. You know, friendship or whatever kind of relationship work. You can't necessarily predict it from the outside.
Right. That's true.
I've seen some relationships, and I've just thought, boy, I don't get it. But
Well, and there's the beauty in it. You don't need to get it. The people in the relationship need to get it. And the fact that you don't get it, I actually think is because the rest of us don't understand why it works. That makes it even more special.
Oh, because, I like that. Yeah,
because
I like
it's the magic of the two of them.
Yeah, yeah. It's how the energy works together.
Yeah.
People. Yeah. So do you have a gut feeling when you meet people? Do you kind of feel what's going on with them?
Sometimes yes. Being the way I am, I'm very perceptive and receptive. And I try to not have that be what I lead with.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to have it come in third or fourth round.
Because you struggle not to immediately jump to conclusions.
Sometimes, yeah. Because I've been wrong, and I'm okay with that. I'm one of the first people to admit that I'm wrong. So
it must get tiring.
I'm very rarely wrong, Helen.
I couldn't resist. I owed you one, Gerald.
I'm very rarely incorrect, Helen.
Did you get a new fan?
Oh, I have multiple ones. This one's yellow.
Yeah, I know. It's very yellow.
Yes, it's very yellow. I've gotten them off of Etsy.
Oh.
So, So anyhow. I mean, it's cold here now, so I don't really need a fan. I just need it to make to make a pop noise.
Yeah, you're in a sweater too, and I've had the heater on, and now it's getting chilly in here. I hate this time of year. Oh my God, I just don't like to be cold.
I'm okay being cold, being a knitter. I'll be wearing sweaters and hats and all that stuff. So, I mean, we just turned our heat on last week. So.
Oh, well, my husband finally replaced our old wood stove. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we've been using our wood stove. It's made a huge difference. Just in time, it's been a couple of weeks, well, maybe almost a month now. And it's made a huge difference. It was really nice to be warm. Yeah. Of course, you have to be down in that room.
That's all right. That's all right. So for those of you who are keeping track, I knit about this much while we were talking.
Put it on.
Well, I'm not quite. I don't even know if it'll fit me.
Oh yes. You're not a cone head. It's great. That's beautiful color.
So yeah. But it might fit Jeffrey. I might have to knit another one, but
is it made for to be kind of long and droopy in the back, or
actually do I have my other one here? It's made to I'm going to be lazy. I will bind off the top so it'll be a square top. And then when I'm wearing it, it'll look like I have ears.
Oh, that's not lazy. It's a thing.
And then when you do it, you can actually plug in the ears so it looks flatter.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
So,
I kind of get a kick out of making the crown.
Oh, it's fun, isn't it, to see the decrease and to get it to
it does not take much.
It's incredible. I love it.
Yeah, that's a very sad statement between the two of us.
No, it's very exciting. I mean, you know, people have been knitting for generations.
There's nothing like a good decrease.
That's right, especially one that works because you don't use a pattern.
Oh, well, I don't. I have to have a pattern. I have to have it word for word. Have to have a pattern, as opposed to our friend Denise, who artist that she is, just looks at something and makes it. I just am flabbergasted by that. I cannot do that. And she was telling me about the shawl. You know, I mentioned to Gerald that have a shawl that Denise made, and I got in touch with her the other day and asked her, where's your pattern? I really like this pattern. Yeah. She goes, I didn't use a pattern. It's like cooks who don't measure, you know?
Oh, yeah, that's like my mother.
So annoying. Oh, my God, that's annoying. Yeah.
Yes. So, well, those are the questions that I have for you, Helen. I mean, should we plan something again?
Oh, undoubtedly, indubitably, yes. Let's do that. Oh, do we want to kind of drop a few stitches about what we're thinking about doing?
We could. I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe.
Oh, I know. Oh, can you give me a hint?
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. What could we possibly talk about?
Gerald and I are trying to think of ways to provide a little escapism, but make it somewhat productive and, you know, not to just waste away our time like I do watching 90 Day Fiance. I'm concerned about what's going to happen with the 90-day K2 visas, you know, or K1 visas, whatever they are, you know, that allow people to come over to get married. I hope they don't screw up my show. Anyway, that's for another day. Gerald and I were thinking it might be really fun to do to do a moment in time with y'all to put it on live and knit and chat.
Knit, you could crochet.
You could do whatever you wanted to. You could embroider, and have people, you could macrame, have people, if they wanted to comment, and we could, you know, then they could give us topics.
Yes. Oh, and they could give us, that could be fun. Yeah.
Let us know what you think, because we were thinking we'd try it one time, and if it's successful, maybe we'll do it on a regular basis. And the only requirement is that you have to bring some sort of creative project you're working on, and maybe a question. And not a predictive question, a question, just a topic for discussion.
Yes, topic for discussion. I like it.
Okay, excellent. So we'll plan that, and we'll let everybody know. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Gerald. It's always so much fun to get together with you. My only sadness is that I can't make you coffee. Okay.
And I'll just eat some chocolate ice cream instead.
And so have an extra scoop for me.
I'll get a separate pint.
Or two.
Haagen-Dazs pistachio?
Yeah, that'd be good. That'd be all right. Or coffee. Or any number of they have a really good kind of a triple chocolate that's truffle and chocolate and then little bits of chocolate in it.
Okay.
Try that one. It's very good.
Okay.
And there's nothing more clever than a Ben and Jerry's title for their ice cream.
Yes.
What's it called? Envision World Peace? Is that Is that what they call it? And it's like a swirl.
Yes.
World, WHIR.
Yes. Oh, I get it. It's like, yeah.
I love that.
Yes.
I could dine out on that for a week. That's great stuff.
I love it. Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Helen.
Gerald.
This has been delightful.
Oh, and I thank you. I feel the same way. And thank you, everybody, for watching. Oh, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Don't
Yes.
sweat the small stuff. The dirty
It's all
dishes will be
small
there on
stuff.
Friday.
Yeah, it's all small stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
Right.
Talk to everybody later. Bye.
Bye.